Good morning. It's November 15th, 2016. This is the Divvy community meeting. We have a lot on our plate today. We'll see how much we get through. There's a lot of exciting things happening. And we're looking into now improvements to our website, our presentation, preparing to solicit more sponsors. We received a generous donation from Slackwave, Scenario Fan.
So, Jim, you're saying that it's actually landed somewhere?
No. He said he will deliver it as soon as we give him an address, and that's one of the things that needs to be put on the agenda today.
Mm-hmm.
How we're going to manage the wallet that he for depositing his amps, and also Proven Secure is giving a donation of 10,000 amps, and that has to be put into
So, I mean, that's a donation by you on behalf of Proven Secure.
right, and it's currently that's currently earmarked for the Scenario Community Governance Project.
Okay.
And we earmarked 10,000 amps of Scenario Fans donation for that project as well. So we will have 15,000 left in Divvy, plus any more Proven Secure contributions for specific activities.
You mean if, again, amps from you on behalf of Proven Secure, or?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, I mean, these are, that all of that is great, but there are legal issues that need to be addressed in order to safeguard those donations.
And we want to make it simple
Mm-hmm.
for donors. Okay, we want the amps to flow directly to members without going through some intermediary.
Well, let me ask you this. Okay, I think, and this is sort of jumping ahead a little bit here, but maybe this makes sense, that we go right on to the second report, legal organization. And that is, I do believe at this time, based on my readings of the statute, that we will probably be a manager-managed LLC, okay? And, in our operating or in our articles of organization, we should probably make the simplest statement, something along the lines of a business to, organized to conduct any lawful business, period, something like that. Okay.
Right.
And what that means is that we really would never have the need to have a unanimous vote to modify the articles of organization. Okay, so what I'm getting at here is everything would then be in the operating agreement. And the operating agreement can be modified under Colorado law by a majority of the members. Okay, so I think, and I do believe this follows along with your suggestions with regard to token holders, the community, an advisory board, and so forth. In other words, we can designate key groups as members, and those members can vote and select managers who will then conduct the day-to-day operations of Divvy. So just getting back to this question of taking in donations of amps, we can address that in the operating agreement. Okay.
Yeah, and more specifically, the structure that we're moving toward has leaders that are selected by democratic principles, and the leaders choose the managers.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess given the fact that, I mean, you're going to be donating amps, and the fellow, the banking fellow, what is his name again?
Scenario fan.
Scenario fan.
Right, and it's not really proper to disclose people's personal business.
Yes. All right. Well said. So in any case, though, we will want to, have language for the operating agreement that addresses sponsors or donations specifically, and I guess I mean,
yes,
what we've stated in our foundation documents is that sponsors will have a say. I mean, obviously, if they're putting money in there, well, there are sponsor rights that we need to establish and protect.
That can be certainly part of our organization. Just to quickly review if I was in the right document, the community structure that's evolving for the scenario community. Okay, basically what we want to, we need to define our decision structure before we can plan our ICO and get legal evaluation from our blockchain attorney. So we have a community structure here where we have the user community with a 1/4 stake, the developer community with a 1/4 stake, and the node operator community with a 1/4 stake, and then the advisor board. Okay.
There's HJ.
I'm sorry, the AMP holders, or in our case, the Divvy holders with a 1/4 stake. And the board of advisors to break ties among the, with minimum responsibility, they break ties between the aggregate. I mean, we're looking for a weak consensus, and the advisory board is part of that process.
Right. Well, and the role of the advisory board is to bring in, let's say, bring in and diversify with let's say, leading minds in the domain, you might say. Is that?
Yeah. These are people like Doug Rushkoff, potentially even Greg and Dora. They're thought leaders who are proposed by the community and assigned to an advisory board role by consensus of the community.
Right. Well, when you say consensus now, from now, and again, I mean, what you're showing here is a scenario governance, but you're saying that we can adopt this with minor tweaks to Divvy.
This is a slight. This is only a modification of the structure that we already had. That I copied and pasted here from the Divvy planning document that you're working. Okay, so all I've done is fleshed it out a little. So it's still the Divvy structure itself. Mm-hmm. This is what we're doing. We're building fractal communities. The Divvy structure is becoming, is evolving into a scenario community governance structure. And it's hierarchical in that within communities, we have communities, and each community is autonomous. It's its own rule, but the Divvy model is a starting place.
Sure, and so in the way you're seeing this, my interpretation would be that members in the put that back up again, Jim. Okay, or put it in the chat if you will, so we can look at it, because I think it's getting us close to the kind of legal structure in terms of members to the organization, the legal organization. So user communities, developer communities, and if you would scroll down, so node operators community, I'm not sure whether that, translates directly across, but AMP holders, which would be token holders in Divvy. I see.
And we don't have the ability to do an AMP holder vote at this point.
I understand.
We might start out with contributors.
Well, and then we can have
and evolve towards holders. In scenario in Divvy, we have a mechanism, the DAO mechanism for the token holders to vote, basically, or we will have. So we will in the Divvy we can give the the Divvy holders their stake.
Okay, my point here, Jim, is that each one of these groups could become a legal entity in themselves and then be a member of the founding legal entity.
Exactly, that's what we want to do. And I think what we decided to do is just postpone that for now and start with managers being the members and work towards this.
Right, and then pivot those well, and then bring in the other members. But I think we could probably come up with a simple operating agreement now that should answer the questions that a sponsor or someone donating amps at this point would satisfy and give the assurances that I think would be necessary. I mean, I don't like the idea of just taking in money or donation from people without going on the record somehow.
Yeah, and to some extent, this is, I mean, we've talked about this before in terms of do we issue Divvy tokens for contributors? And I think, each situation is somewhat unique. Mm-hmm. And, in this case, so far, the seed money being given to us is considered a gift. Okay, it's not looking for stake. Mm-hmm. And so we don't need to issue tokens yet. But certainly when we get to an ICO or whatever, we will provide, that's what Scenario Fund is looking for, the business model. He's willing to come forward with an investment if we
yeah,
a reasonable business model.
I understand, and I think that amps for Divvy tokens, it makes a lot of sense because it puts juice into the marketplace. Okay, well, we can offer Divvy tokens, and I'm in favor. Everybody in favor? Yeah, I'm in favor of that. Okay, and it's based on the price of the amp at the time. Well, we'll have to, and again, these are, let's call it, these are strategic. This is a strategic decision. In other words, deciding what the initial value is going to be. And there are there are tax considerations and so on because, as I think you understand, any income to the LLC flows through as to the members. Okay, now, and this is kind of a this is a complex issue where I think at some point very soon we may have to hire some tax expertise.
Excuse me. With that respect, Dor said in the last hangout that he has been in touch with Deloitte, and he has been talking to lawyers about these AMP questions and also about tax, I think. So if he would be comfortable by giving us this information, it would be very practical.
Mm-hmm. And this was Dor?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. In my discussions with Dor and Greg, they are keeping very much at arm's length. They don't want to, they have chosen not to try to influence us. So I'm not sure how helpful they will be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's okay that they don't want to influence us, but they could give information, no?
So yeah, well, hopefully they will. Now I've invited them to comment on the document.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping they will.
Yeah. I think we have to ask Dor if he wants to give this information. because I don't think they take this, Dor is taking this projects very serious. So he will ignore it, more or less.
Well,
Maybe Greg sees something in it, but
we might want to suggest like a meeting once a month or something between the community, our chain, and scenario. Just to synchronize our activities so that we're pulling together in promoting scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly makes sense. Another way, but we can't pull
Malthus
people who
Jones
are reluctant.
Question. He asks which info is needed. So then I refer back to Kendall, because Kendall was talking that if you are putting value into Divvy tokens, then you get a lot of legal actions, like tax. I don't know. And I thought Dor has been talking to Deloitte about these kind of problems, because Scenario is also distributing AMPs. And until now, it's very vague how to deal with that, as for income tax or whatever. Mm-hmm. So you might have some more news about it. Is it clear, Malthus?
Yeah, well, in terms of the Colorado LLC, okay, it's each of our responsibilities independently to deal with the AMPs. So we get AMPs from Scenario Fan, and it gets distributed to maybe a management group, the manager. It's distributed to us, the managers group with Divvy. Okay, and we have the earmarked amount of 10,000 for the Scenario community if it moves forward. The founding meeting is at 4:00 today, and we really still need to see if there's a critical mass to move it forward.
Okay, I want to go back to this question that Malthus John had. He says, well, payments in crypto is, it's very vague at the moment, because how do you value it? And it's very volatile, and it's not considered as money, but more as an asset and so on. So I think we can go forward without having a clear answer on that, and just distribute tokens. And when they get value, then we will see what happens.
Yeah.
So the tokens, we could say it's initially $1 or so, and then we.
Yeah, well, that's a rule of thumb. Okay.
Yeah.
Very quickly in the Scenario Nodes project, we're running out of Divvy. So instead of $1, we may use 50 cents. We want to. Everything has to last, so we can use any value we want for the Divvy. It's just a hypothetical that it's $1.
It's a hypothetical coin, and it's just a measure to value work, hypothetically. So when value comes in, then we have at least we have a kind of measure how to give the people what they needed.
Well, and I think you would, the term would be a benchmark, okay, which is, a surveying term for a known point. Okay.
Yeah, our problem is going to be is the business model in terms of providing reward to the investor, and that's a challenge we're facing. Okay, and I put an initial plan in the initial Divvy living document. We need to review that and see if that's what we're going to present to the attorney. But
do you want to put a link to that up, Jim?
Let's see, search drive.
Mm-hmm.
Divvy, oops. Divvy current state. I could spell.
In the meantime, I can tell maybe something.
Go ahead.
It's a project what will be announced on the 1st of April in 2017.
Okay.
And it's about a car ride share network. And I think it's going to be based on a Tesla car. And well, I want to begin with describing the project. So it could be an autonomous organization who is providing mobility for a lot of persons on the planet. And I think it's Tesla is putting such a network into place in 2017. And the problem is that it's going to be run by a central institution. So it's better to do it in decentralized ways and make it an unstoppable system. So I have some ideas about it, how to realize it. And maybe I hope I can get in touch with Elon Musk. And if I reach him, I mean, it would be wonderful. But yeah, so that could be a nice project for the Divvy organization also.
Yeah, it's not exactly community support, but it's an application that uses the Divvy principles, and I suggest going ahead with it and adding a considerate proposal and copying a project template and develop a team. It's a wonderful project.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, and I think it's great. I mean, I've got at least 2 projects I want to do as soon as we get, our whole proposal process and mechanism, really settled. Where maybe settled is not the right term, but up and running in a coherent manner, which is what I'm going to get into here pretty soon. Let me just ask this, since I think we're still on Divvy legal organization. Can we provide authorization for me to go ahead with this? Would you like me to kind of walk you through the the articles of organization directions from the Colorado Secretary of State. I mean, I can do a quick screen share on this. It's really, what it really, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Walk us through.
Okay, I will do that. So, and this is available. You can, look at it at your leisure. Okay, so you can, what I copied here in black, well, I'll just read it. So it says the text in black is the original text from, and this is from off of the Secretary of State website, okay, the official Colorado, .gov site. And then the text in blue are my suggestions, okay? And then text in magenta is text from other sources, all right? And then, of course, the red is just, text that I thought was important. The entity name, I'm suggesting that the LLC be named Divvy Ltd. Okay, and if you look up here, it says the name of a limited liability must contain the term or abbreviation. Okay, and all of these others are different forms of limited liability company that are accepted. And I like LTD. I don't know. I've used it in for one of my construction companies. So anyhow, this is my suggestion. I suggest that we use Divvy Ltd. as the registered name of the LLC. Now, we also have doing business as, or these are called DBAs, okay? And so this is a trade name. And what I'm suggesting here is that the trade name, in other words, what we would use in all of our communications and any promotional whatever, would be the Divvy DAO. But we could also register Divvy DAO, the Divvy, and also the Divvy platform or other, let's call it sub-designations that represent the different types of business that we would be doing, okay? So, any questions on that?
Well, I think that when you say the Divvy, that would include the Divvy anything.
Well, that's true.
We may want to specify a few, though. Yeah, you're right.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if you look at our foundation documents, we use the Divvy DAO, we use Divvy DAO, we use the Divvy, we use Divvy, and we can, I think, probably, there's a way of incorporating all of those into something of, with legal weight to it. Okay. And maybe we need to define some of this in the operating agreement. So, but anyhow, I mean, I think, we start with Divvy DAO Ltd, and then maybe right off the bat go after the Divvy DAO as our doing business as.
Yeah, the Divvy platform is important. The Divvy community is the other side of the Divvy. It's a platform and a community.
Yes. Well, and we may want to reserve that for that community. Right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. You know, in other words, our future members, we would want to reserve a doing business as for them as well. So
Yeah.
that's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we just get down to principal office. It can be, it can be any address outside the United States. In other words, we can start out, we can use my address for now, which is, this would be the mailing address right here, Divvy Dow Limited, 266 South 4th Street, Carbondale, Colorado. That's my address. If everyone's okay with that, I'm perfectly willing to do that. And, we'll have the ability to have the principal office in any location we want. And it could conceivably even be a rotating thing, where it's in a different place. It just depends on how the group wants to manage that.
Yeah, and I think we pretty much tasked you with accepted that.
Okay, all right. And then the principal office mailing address, same thing. And then registered agent. Now this is important in terms of anything official coming from the Secretary of State goes to the registered agent. Okay, and so again, that can be me. I have no problem with that. And it's the same address, same address. Yeah. Okay. Now we get down to statement regarding. Let's see. Okay, that's not a big deal. I have to consent. Okay, person forming the limited liability company. All right, and so we come down here. It says, if the entity has more than one organizer, click the yes button. All right, so who do we want to be forming the company? I mean, it can be one person, as I say here. Do we want current Divvy managers, 2 Divvy managers, all Divvy managers? I think we need to decide on that.
I thought we already decided it would be all Divvy managers.
Okay, all right. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So what I'm going to need is everybody's physical address, okay? So, and we don't have Jeff here. Killian and HJ and Jim, you'll need to, I mean, if you want to, you can just go into this document and put your addresses in here, okay? Because that has to be part of it.
Well, maybe you can paste the link in the chat box.
Say again?
The link of this document in the chat box.
Sorry. Sure.
So if you just put a little note as to what it is, so that we can see that when in the chat history. When we
Yeah. Well, it's this document. It's in the meeting. In the meeting.
In the meeting notes.
Notes. Yeah. Do you have the meeting open, HJ?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I can paste it there. Okay.
Yeah, well, you can put it in the meeting notes if you want. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, maybe that's the best way for everyone to do it. So
okay.
Okay, now,
One question. Do you think it's a problem that to make like all the addresses public, like the document is visible for everybody in the internet, right? I don't know if it's an issue or not.
well,
Does anybody object to having their address public?
I don't.
No.
It's not a problem.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think like what could be worst case, but I guess it's fine.
Yeah, and I think we could use the corporate address if somebody doesn't want to reveal their address. They can use the company address.
Oh yeah, you mean that the minutes are public? That's the point.
Well,
Yeah, it's not a problem today.
No.
I mean, I'll look at it. Well, in Colorado, you can go to the Secretary of State site and look up any business. Okay, so
Yeah.
anybody around the world can go there and look up any business, and they can look at the various documents. I'll have to check and see if there would be any document that would have those names and addresses, but I think it would show up.
Yeah. So yeah, for me it's not a problem.
Yeah. And this, by the way, right here, this is the website for, this is, it's called tornado.state.co.us/gov. Not sure what tornado means, but okay. So now they here under management indicate whether the limited liability company is managed by managers or by members. All right. So and then I pulled this from in Magenta. I pulled this from another source, but they're saying here most states require that you to indicate whether the LLC will be member managed or manager managed, and this is the case in Colorado. So most LLCs are member managed, where all of the members share responsibility for running the business. Now, that's when you have very few members. In a manager-managed LLC, the members appoint a manager or a group of managers to handle the company's daily operations. Now, this, I think, is the simplest for us, because we don't know how many members we're actually going to have. And we also, given the breakdown of the groups that Jim has presented, we have sub-members. Okay, so the way I see it is that the members of the LLC, which would be the community group, the developers group, the advisor group, etc., we could eventually have, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 10 members, each representing many sub-members. And so my sense at this point is that we should be a manager-managed LLC from the standpoint of just, being able to run the day-to-day operations. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, otherwise we have to choose them again. So it's most practical to have already managers.
Say that again.
Well, if you say it's a member managed company, then they have to choose the managers. If you say the managers are managing the company, then you don't have to choose them anymore.
Well, yeah.
So
Yes, I mean, they can appoint managers for however long they want the managers to, to have authority to manage. Again, I mean, that's something that we can determine in the operating agreement when, we really fully understand how what the best and most efficient and most equitable way.
So you can change it later, that the members choose the managers.
That's correct.
The initial managers can decide, well, the members are going to choose now new managers.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
So that's the most practical thing, the easiest thing to do.
And I think it definitely favors the type of hierarchical structure that Jim has, had showed us. So, are we agreed then that will be a manager-managed LLC?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree with that as well.
Killian also?
Okay.
Yes.
All right, very good. So let's see. Okay, now.
So this is all about structure and mostly administrative things. Is there also things about goals and missions and so?
Can't. It's too long for them to do.
Well, that's we can incorporate those into the operating agreement, definitely. But again, I mean, that's, right now we are on the record with our foundation documents. We make statements in our community document as to how we would like to run things. We state in that document that it's a living document subject to change and so forth. And I would say that, from an intent standpoint, we've already gone on the record as to how we want to operate the company or let's say the organization, which is now becoming a company. So I'm not, I think we've got an operating agreement de facto, a de facto operating agreement. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, but is the operation, is it also clear?
In the founding documents?
I mean, what we are going to do and so?
You mean the purpose of the LLC?
Yeah.
Well, again, I mean, I think that anyone looking at us, if there's a question, prior to having a stated, voted on operating agreement within the legal company, we've already gone on the record as to how we think the company should operate.
Well, here's the thing, Kendall. The operating agreement may be a verbal one, and
Can be.
we have it, and we have this base of material, this providence as to who we are, that we agree is our operating agreement or constitutes our operating agreement, which is flexible because we're always going to improve the process.
That is correct. Yeah. So, I mean, we probably want to address things like voting for managers and manager duties and things like that in the operating agreement. and we could conceivably adopt the community the community manual as into the operating agreement. In other words, if
I don't think so. You know, I sort of disagree with that. You know, it doesn't have the flexibility we need. I think that in terms of the global organization that we're creating here, what we really need to, well, the only thing we need to specify in terms of our operating agreement is this top-level structure of how the different stakeholders participate in decisions.
right,
Okay, and then we can allow each one to each component, you know, each structure in each substructure down to teams and individuals. We can provide autonomy because we haven't specified any rigid structure except at this very high level of having a partnership between I'm in the wrong place, aren't I? Yeah, I am. The hierarchy of communities within the Divvy and the stake, the node operator stake, the developer stake, the user stake, the advisory power,
right.
and that's it. We don't give any details.
Yeah, and we don't necessarily. Well, I mean, you assign 25% to each one of those groups. Ours could be different. We don't really know, but I think the important thing to understand here is, and you can see this 7-80-401. Now this I copied out of the LLC statute, and so the key here is decisions with respect to a limited liability company shall be made by a majority of the members, or if the limited liability company has one or more managers, by a majority of the managers. Okay, so from day one, you know, this is how we make decisions. Okay, now it goes on to say the consent of each member is necessary to amend the articles of organization, which isn't going to be a problem because they're going to be so broad that unless the only amendment to the articles of organization that I can conceive of right now is either if the for-profit company decided that it wanted to become a nonprofit, okay, that would mean that the articles of organization would have to be amended. Now, so I don't consider A to be an issue. Amend the operating agreement. Okay, so that means that the consent of each member is necessary to amend the operating agreement. If we've got 4 or 6 members, each representing some subgroup, you know, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think the thing that brings up is that we need to be extra flexible in that we don't want to even specify or we want to leave a room for modification of the stake of the various stakeholders, or make it by weak consensus, the stake of a stakeholder can be changed.
I think we can, I definitely think we can build that in, you know, but
Yeah, that's essential. We don't know what, you know, if there's anything rogue, we want to be able to exclude it.
yeah,
Okay, we can't be, we have to plan for failure.
right,
I found the document.
okay.
I don't know if Killian put the link in already. I see he's been active in it. It's the original founding document of the Divvy, and the business model and the stakeholder was in here in numerous ways. I guess I'm just starting at a random place here. This is in the list of tasks that we need to do. Stating that there's a small transaction fee with Divvy standard token transactions, and half of that goes to the community, and half of that goes to the dividends to the token holders, which they can reinvest or do whatever they want. But,
Well, yeah, I mean, this is, you could call this the revenue model.
yes.
Yeah, and, you know, which is another question that, I mean, again,
That's where, before we got off on the governance, that's where we were. I guess I should have asked if we were done with that side discussion.
well, it's a good question. I mean, I thought we were discussing relevant things. I think you're discussing a relevant thing here. But it you know, it rises to questions of how do we conduct the business of Divvy, right? I mean, is that what you're getting at, Jim, here?
Yeah, the two things that we needed to provide to the attorney, I guess the mandates we got from Scenario Fan, which were to get more sponsors, to get sponsorship from Scenario,
Mm-hmm.
And to define the business model.
Right.
And the mandate from Blockchain Attorney is to define our contracts as an organization, which includes the business model and the organizational model that we were just discussing.
Okay, so I would just point out that throughout our founding documents, we refer to the Divvy pilot, and so and we refer to the Divvy pilot as a, you know, as that's what we're doing. Everything we're doing right now is within the Divvy pilot.
Right, we're operating on testnet. We're not operating on the real network yet.
Right. So my point here is that the representations that we can make is that it's our intention within the pilot to develop and answer these various questions so that when we go and be, you know, start operating fully as the Divvy DAO, we have answered all of those questions, and we've, you know, when we you know, kind of go public, as it were, we've answered these questions to a very large degree. Does that make sense? In other words, what I'm saying is, I think what I'm saying is that in the pilot phase, we ought to be modifying, and I think maybe this applies to the operating agreement. In other words, the operating agreement is a pilot document, right?
Yeah. So that's and it's evolving. If we look at our founding document here, we can see the structure was loosely defined as 3 branches, which has evolved. It's different now. We've gone beyond that. Hello? How come I can't find anything in this document? It's weird.
Put it on edit, maybe. Or
Yeah, I don't know. Reload the page. Do I do that?
I mean, things like weak consensus, liquid democracy, and so forth, we can define in the operating agreement. Okay? Right now, we're going to start with the 4 of us. I don't know whether to include Jeff. I mean,
if Jeff does his part, if he puts in his address, and I think we should put him in. If he doesn't follow through, then obviously, he has to assume the position himself. We can't assume.
Understood. Absolutely. But I'm just bringing that up. I think, Jim, you should reach out to Jeff again, and all of us, need to reach out to Jeff to, see what's going on. He may be in the hospital for all we know.
he's welcome.
He's what?
He's welcome.
Yeah, he's welcome. He's part of.
He's put in a lot of work.
Absolutely, and so. In any case, I just wanted to bring that up. So, by the way, this is an interesting part of Colorado law, and that is it. Oh,
I'm going to go off the share here because I'm getting very bad behavior.
Well, I'm almost done here. So if we can just run through this and be done with this item, that would be great. So here's an interesting thing. It says, if you do not want the document to become effective immediately, enter the date and, if appropriate, time that you want the document to become effective in the box. So, but they I believe, okay, so it says, may be delayed up to 90 days. All right, so this is potentially quite handy. In other words, if we have certain things that we would like to have in place, like the voting structure, for instance, in the operating agreement, we can wait. And I mean, even though it says that you can have create an operating agreement before or after, there might be, it might make sense for us to have our operating agreement in place on the day that the company becomes effective. Okay, so that's another question. What is everyone's thought on that?
I think, based on the community structure that we have outlined, that we make an operating agreement that is as simple as possible and as vague as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And move forward with it right away. Just draft one.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, okay. And I can work on that. But I think that the basic principle is that we want the operating agreement to, as much as possible, reflect a distributed organization, right? If not absolutely technically a distributed autonomous organization, as close to that as possible.
Yes, and I think that's what the constructor is, already decentralized in terms of the user community, the developer community, the node operators, and the token holders.
Sure. Yeah, and the initial members could actually, I mean, as managers, us as managers could actually be designated as representatives of those different communities. Maybe I don't know.
Yes.
But
Yeah. Well, the Divvy provides the mentors and the coaches to all the sub organizations. Not they provide the cohesion among the different organizations and groups by synchronizing and coordinating them in terms of advice, because they're autonomous sub organizations.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'm just sort of thinking out loud there. I mean, we will, I think, want to try to bring in like community leader, for the Divvy community, someone that's not necessarily one of us.
Yeah, we want up to 12 community leaders ultimately, who then by we consensus control who's managing, who the managers are, and can override manager decisions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, vote however they want. I mean, you're saying collectively, if you had 12 community leaders.
Right, that's a good number, up to 12.
Okay, all right. So they then would be the leaders and or managers of the community.
Now, when informing, the first 12 people are automatic members, are automatically leaders. But then by liquid democracy, who the leaders are that emerge. And, it's on the other hand, it's also whoever's doing the job is that job. So whoever's leading is a leader.
Well, no, I understand that, but I'm getting back to what is the definition of a member, okay? In the the overall structure of the organization, okay? And one of the members we want is representative of the Divvy community, right? And so you're saying, well, that community will be governed or let's say moved forward by up to 12 leaders.
Right.
Okay, so what I'm saying is it would be up to those leaders to form a legal entity called the Divvy community. Okay, because in order, you've got to be a person. Okay, the legal definition of a person in Colorado can include an organization, a corporation, or whatever. Okay, so I mean, all I'm saying is that the voting member in Divvy DAO Ltd for the community would be an organization or some legal entity that represented the community. And those 12 community leaders would vote amongst themselves, presumably, as far as how the community member of Divvy Dow Limited would vote within Divvy Dow Limited.
That can be, but you see, the community selects its own managers, and they determine how they're represented to the divvy.
Exactly. And all I'm saying, I just laid out, the legal framework of that.
Yes, and whether or not they have to be a legal entity depends on whether they're personally willing to accept liability. Okay,
Yeah.
if they're not willing to risk personal liability, then they should form the protection of a legal entity.
Exactly. Yeah. So, sorry about my phone. Okay. Well, so I think we're almost done here. You're saying let's go ahead and do it all at once. I mean, not worry about delayed action or anything like that. Okay.
Because we're making something so flexible, this is our, we have an opportunity now to go forward and create this. Everything's set up, ready, least action, do it. I mean, yes, it's going to take some work on your part, but it would take that work anyway.
Look, Jim, and whoever else wants to be part of it. I mean, we can do a Zoom while I'm filling out the form, and I can do screen share, and
Let's schedule a meeting.
Yeah. Okay. When would you like to do that?
How about Thursday morning? Oh, I have a doctor appointment.
You have a doctor Thursday afternoon.
I have it at 2 o'clock, so I could do 10 o'clock Thursday.
You want 2 o'clock Thursday?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. So what about Thursday after,
I didn't do the afternoon. I could do late or like maybe 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. Not 4 o'clock. 5 o'clock. I can do Friday.
So yeah, I mean that's fine. That's fine with me. That'd be 3 o'clock my time. Now, I don't know, HJ and Killian, do you want to be part of this?
If it's in the afternoon your time, I can try, but I'm not 100% sure if I can make it because I think it's like 4 a.m. or something here, but I can try.
How about Thursday or Friday morning? No?
Morning is always good for me, but I think Candle on Thursday doesn't have time.
How about Friday?
We can do Friday morning.
Okay.
So why don't we do it at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock Eastern time, Friday morning.
Okay.
All right.
On Friday, it's okay for me.
Yeah, and we can
Tuesday,
also, we can continue with the second thread of the economic model for the attorney and for sponsors and for investors on that thread too. I'll just continue to review what the founding document contains, because we are always evolving from where we are. Okay. This search in this document is still behaving stupid for some reason. But the basic idea is that for the Divvy compatible tokens, which communities may use. There's lots of benefits for using them. There'll be a small transaction fee. This isn't the 10% of coming in money to projects through the Divvy as a management fee. This is separate from that. And so 0.01% or something will be charged for transactions of Divvy compatible tokens to amps or Bitcoin or between each other. And every community can have its own Divvy compatible tokens. And the distribution of that is to be determined, but essentially 50% goes to the community for the Divvy and improvement of the Divvy, and 50% goes to token holders as a dividend. Okay, and in exchange, so to speak, the Divvy token holders, I was proposing here, the Divvy token holders form a pool that can provide a trustworthy default intermediary. And I said here, we are not scalable, and that's still true today until we have our chain. To millions of transactions a minute without mediators, provably witnessing transactions off the blockchain, like the Lightning protocol on Bitcoin, and I forget what it's called on Ethereum. So the trustworthy mediator could receive a small fee because it's really a transaction fee because they're involved in the transaction. So okay, and this turned in. This was the DAO days, so it was talking about DAO tokens, not amps. But when it refers to DAO DTH, DAO token holders, it really means amp. It now means amp token holders, and I should probably fix that. I can't even edit. What's going on? It's bizarre.
You're in.
I'm going to reboot my machine after this.
Well, maybe you have to just press the pencil, right, left, top, right.
I just reloaded the page.
So Jim, this is the document that we originally evolved in the very beginning when the first, the original proposal was
This is our
approach the DAO for funding, correct?
Yeah, well, this was our founding document. The DAO was sort of in and out of it. We didn't decide whether we were going to go for DAO funding or not. So the DAO stuff was conditional, but what happened was the community leaders group in Scenario decided that they needed to have an independent organization. That was the purpose of the DAO, of the Divvy, was an independent organization for the Scenario community. And this was decided at our last meeting before the community leader program was transformed into the amplifier program. Okay, and so this was our founding document of the Divvy right here.
Yeah, and this is the current state that it was at when Jeff and I were authorized to work on the Divvy foundation documents, you might say, right? The roadmap, the community manual and the pilot, the pilot proposal document.
Right. Okay, so, or I should say original.
Yeah, well, this was the Genesis document is what I would call it.
Thank you.
And it was, yeah, I mean, it was the evolutionary document. And yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the economic model, to some extent, is in here. What is missing from here is the economic modeling and constraints on that model. Jeff proposed a solution that we depreciate the divvy over time from $1 to an hour. Okay, and this will reward early adopters. And an important part of any coin is that you have a curve of acceptance and a curve of adoption. Okay, and you have a curve of incentives that need to match. Okay, you have to provide, in order to maintain a network effect, you have to balance these two curves. And so the economic modeling is an aspect that has to be done both for investors like Scenario Fan and the blockchain attorney, which is essentially what he's asking us to define in terms of the contracts. Yeah. Is the economic, how, you know, we're engineering a token to have certain properties. Okay, and one of those properties is to reward early adopters, to create a network effect. And on the one hand, we don't want to make decisions before we have to. On the other hand, we need to at least describe how those decisions will be made.
Correct. So I'm putting, this is not 100% relevant, but it's, it has relevance nonetheless. This is the sponsor document, which was, so there it is. I mean, Jim, what you're saying is that we really need to come up with our business model.
Exactly. That's exactly what he's asking for, is the business.
Yeah, and so I think we should do some work on this, and then maybe schedule a Zoom with him.
What? With who? With the attorney?
No, I'm talking about Scenario.
Scenario Fan.
Scenario Fan. Yeah, since he's. Yeah. Does that make sense?
I think
I mean, is that something he would want? Or is he, you know, sort
In other words, he's willing to mentor us to a certain extent, and we'll figure that out. But it's, you know, he made it very clear what his, you know, he said, you know, that the ball's in our court. We have to come back to him with the business model.
okay, all right.
Okay,
All
and
right.
in the meantime, he will help us get other sponsors.
Great.
Okay. Well, he tasked us with getting other sponsors.
Okay, so he, Scenario Fan definitely falls in the category of a sponsor.
Right.
Okay, and so I think, you know, the sponsor document here is, you know, it's probably out of date at this point, based on what our vantage point is at this time. But, you know, maybe we can use it to, you know, kind of inform our process here, and we can revamp it.
Now, you know, I did not send him an invitation to the Divvy Slack because I am so embarrassed that I am the lion's share of the content provider, and the Slack is very quiet. Okay, it doesn't give the impression of the success we're having. It doesn't reflect that success. And, you know, many people are not in the Slack. And, you know, and this is a problem that many people aren't in the scenario Slack. And, you know, we're building the scenario community now. And we want, you know, all want to be early adopters in the scenario adopters in the scenario community so that we're rewarded.
Yeah, well, you know, I would just say this, Jim. I mean, look at the case, my own example. Okay, I don't participate a lot in the Slack, but I'm working every day on Divvy stuff, and you know, it from my viewpoint, I know what my marching orders are, and I'm doing it.
Yeah, and that's perfect. The Divvy, we're supposed to divvy up. Everybody isn't supposed to do any one thing. We're supposed to all be doing our part.
I know, but I you know, some of us function very well, or prefer to function in a you know, working on 10 or 15 things at once. Some of us, you know, are first things first in order of their importance people. Right. And I happen to be the latter.
Yeah, and you know, for our communities we have norms, and one of the norms is to use the Slack, and not everybody has to do it. But you have to consider, you know, the thing is the whole reason why we have norms is so that the participation of each person can be minimal and still have the process develop a collective intelligence and succeed. And so, you know, if you could schedule an hour a week to go on Slack, that would be a good thing. You know, I mean, following our norms is what makes us a collective organization. And we have to balance that, working alone, working together. Yeah.
Well, again, I mean, you know, I need to complete something before I can go on to something else, and I'm going to be participating more because, and we probably ought to move on to Killian's presentation of what he's come up with for the website. Okay, and you know, once we've got that up and running, I'm going to be focusing a lot more, well, on a couple of things. Is the Divvy platform tools I want to really ramp that up and grow that. And the other, and that also involves bringing in a projects coordinator, Divvy projects coordinator. Okay, and we can talk about that, but that would be someone who would essentially, one individual who would report to the managers on a weekly basis the status of the various projects, along with suggestions as to things, action items, things we might need to do. Now, and then the other, and this I think is a Divvy strategic goal, and I added it to the goals, strategic goals, and that is growing the network. Because I think that is part of our business plan. And, network effect is probably at the very core of the Divvy DAO. So, and those are areas where I'll become a lot more active on Slack. I also think that when we actually have the website repurposed as far as making proposals and so forth, we need to get out in the community and start promoting that and saying to people, hey, come on, we've got it all set up now. We've made it easy for you to make proposals, get your ideas out there working and even adding or earning Divvy. So at that point, I think, from my viewpoint, Slack becomes very, very valuable. And you don't have to be the only one out there.
Yeah, I don't actually recommend Slack, but the point is that what we're using is what we're using, and we've experimented with many things in Scenario, and have failed to get off Slack.
Well, and these are challenges. I mean, I use the term stagnant documents, and there is a tendency for, I don't know exactly what you want to call it, group effort to become, it can stop. Okay,
yeah.
And
they've had that problem with every other platform except Slack. Slack has kept them alive, so to speak.
Well, I think that's, at least from my viewpoint, in dealing with probably a dozen different documents at this point, that not just Divvy, but, Free Trust and, Proven Secure, et cetera, that there are any number of situations where you have this group participation, and at some point it seems to stop. Okay, and that's the point that I am personally interested in. Because to me, you have all of this vested energy in developing an idea or a set of ideas and so forth, but they're unrealized. Okay, so there's all this potential locked up in this process, and what I'm interested in is how do you unlock that potential and get to a point where you realize the full value.
Yeah, well, that's the Divvy mission. It's the same thing when you have, more than 5 people at the, eating dinner, and nobody leaves a good tip, because everybody expects everyone else to leave a good tip. And if everybody else isn't going to give a tip, well, they're not going to be the sucker. They're not going to leave a big tip. In group dynamics, the simple thing is that when you have a group responsibility, nobody takes the responsibility. and things stop. Things don't happen. Okay, and there's two ways that the Divvy approaches that. One is having more than one person assigned to a task, so that there's always somebody watching over the shoulder to make sure that the task gets done. And assigning it to a small group of people, not the whole group. Okay, the other thing is the Divvy token, incentives to cooperate. If you perform the task and cooperate, you're going to get rewarded. And at least you get credit for what you did. It's part of your resume. Okay, it goes on the blockchain. You're unmuted.
You know, interesting a book about this community work. That's the Swarmwise. It's all explained in it, how you have to do it, and it mentions all the problems Jim mentions also. And I think that could be a good manual for making Divvy to a success.
What is it? Can you put it in the chat? What is it? I missed it. There's, it's honeybee democracy?
No, it's Swarmwise.
Swarm
It's my
voice.
last entry.
The fifth voice. You're familiar?
Unsightly dead, something like that.
What?
Well, can you look at the chat?
Yeah.
So it's my last remark. My last entry.
I don't see it.
It's a link. I can type it again. I mean, here it comes.
Did you send it to somebody privately?
No, it's to everyone.
Oh, okay. I only got it once.
You see it? You've seen it? The link?
I got to see the link now. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
My ebook.
So, but anyway, it's very important that tasks are appointed and that they are executed and that they are rewarded. So, but we will get there. We will get there.
All right. So on Friday we can we'll go over the
fill out of the document.
the business structure and the economic model.
Well, I mean, the first order of business on Friday morning is to form the LLC, right?
This is is complete that submission.
Okay.
I guess that'll take a while. Okay, we have a second order of business, which is to complete the economic model. And I don't know if I guess these are not related because we're being unspecific in the LLC. Well, I guess our next major task will be to complete the economic model. And we also have a mandate to seek out other sponsors. We should have some action item on that.
By Friday, you're saying?
Well,
we want to start thinking about business plan and also operating agreement oriented towards sponsor interests.
right. And that requires the business model.
Yeah.
But that's good. Very good. Okay, so let's get to the first item on the agenda, the Divvy status. I mean, the consider it status. Consider it, there's a few things happening there. One is that with the launching today of the scenario community, scenario.consider.it will be used by that community for proposing community cooperations. There has, at the same time, and Kendall, you were asking earlier about decentralizing the Divvy itself. And here we're creating a branch, scenario.divvy, already. And we have a proposal on the table of Divvy Business Accelerator Communities. And there's really two flavors of this happening. One is led by Michael, and Michael's on here. But I'm wondering, it seems like there's two different or three different projects. The idea is local, and I'm going to change this right now, since it was my proposal. To community. Hello, I'm typing in the wrong place. Divvy community accelerator branches. Okay, and it needs update now because we've had several initiatives that are in this category of branching off the Divvy into localities. We have a initiative in the Campus St. Petersburg area going to create a local community. We did. We have a branch for doing a real accelerator in New York that would use economic modeling with Minsky to drive the accelerator in terms of making decisions or whatever on what to accelerate. So that's kind of a meta accelerator. The Divvy Community Accelerator branches are the St. Pete's version right now is about self-sustaining living, growing and sharing foods. And that's led by Patrick McGuire. And rain cubes for being your own water supply.
Yeah. Well, it's permaculture is what that is.
Permaculture, yeah.
Yeah, and which is a great thing. I've been involved with aspects of permaculture for many years.
Right, and they would have their own considerate. They would have their own considerate for the St. Petersburg permaculture community.
Absolutely. And here's the thing I might just bring up, and I think we probably ought to move to the presentation on for the website proposal thing, but you've indicated that the fellow, and I forget his name, who created Considerate. It's one individual who basically has his finger on all the buttons at, on the back end of Considerate, right? And I seriously believe we should become we're acting like partners with him. My understanding. I mean, he's made changes as we've suggested and so forth, and I think that we can consider it to be a much more effective tool with, in the proposal process and the project process, et cetera. And I don't know exactly what that means, but I do believe, we should reach out to him and help him build Considerate into a really powerful tool. Okay. It's a good tool in some ways today. But I do believe it has, it could have functionalities that would make it much, much better.
Absolutely. And, we've been tossing, we have a Divvy Considerate channel. We've tossed around a lot of ideas for how we want to take the next step with it. We've talked about putting it on the blockchain. We're looking for leaders of the Divvy Considerate project to put it on Considerate.
Well, okay, okay, so you're saying that there is the Considerate channel in Slack?
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, well, that's going to be, in my mind, one of the next steps, because Considerate is going to be one of the primary tools on Divvy platform tools. Okay, which
Yeah.
I consider to be a location on the website.
Right, and keep in mind though that I'm working on several projects that so far have not entered a proposal on Considerate. They're using our project template, but one of the tasks on their list is to enter on Considerate if they're seeking to build a team.
Yeah. Well, and I would just point out here, there are proposals on Considerate that are minting Divvy tokens. There are proposals on Considerate that are not minting Divvy tokens, that might want to mint Divvy tokens, and there are proposals on Considerate that don't have any interest in Divvy tokens at all. Okay. The reason I bring up Divvy tokens is that anything that mints Divvy tokens needs to be doing so according to Divvy strategic goals, in my mind.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, we have, it has to follow the principles, and, it's a reward for cooperation. So, what is this cooperation? Is this something that is just benefiting the participants, or is this benefiting the larger Divvy community?
Well, yeah, and my point is that if we're awarding tokens to a project, it needs to be furthering Divvy strategic goals, which is about supporting the community and furthering the interests of the community, et cetera.
Well, yes, but there's a tension there. We're on the one hand we're rewarding effort, cooperation. On the other hand, we're being particular in terms of which cooperations we most match the Divvy principles.
Well, yeah, summarized as biggest bang for the buck.
Right. Good.
Okay. So, yeah, well, yeah, all of this is very exciting. I just feel that, you know, as a group, we're really approaching, this critical mass that we talk about for projects. But the Divvy project, I don't, again, I mean, I don't know how other people feel, but I really feel like we're, on the threshold of something here. So,
Well, we have a useful process, and it's doing some of the right things, and will do more of the right things. It has a future. It's evolving.
yeah, absolutely. So, Jim, would it be all right if we move on to the proposal process and let
Yeah,
Gillian take us on a tour?
yeah, we're pushing on 2 hours, so
I know. Yep.
sorry. So let's do it.
Sure.
Are you sharing the screen, Ken?
Well, let's see. Now, you were going to send me a link.
I mean, it's the regular website link, so you can just go on.
Divvy,
I'll
yeah,
put it also in the
we're taking a tour.
Oh, okay. All right. Divvy.org. There we go. Okay, I will share. Okay.
Okay. So basically, what you're seeing there is the typical landing page that we were having before, and the only thing that I changed is if you scroll all the way down, it doesn't leave you just on the page. It basically invites you to the next step of the process, which is like becoming a community member. So if you click on it, so this gets you to get started. So what I basically tried to do is organizing the navigation bar kind of in a way that it makes like sense in the way of you're new to Divi, so you're from left to right basically exploring the features. So now you're at get started, which basically is like becoming a Divi community member first of all. I tried to simplify what we previously we had like I don't know like an 11-step process there, and I tried to really narrow it down to what is necessary and what I felt like we want to have necessary to have here as the requirement for people to become a community member. So this is first of all becoming familiar with the community manual and the Divi vision, mission, and strategic goals. Then there's the link to other documents that might be relevant, like the technical roadmap, executive summary, things like that. And then the next step, once you're familiar with these documents, you just need the Slack invite. So I created a Google form where you can easily fill in your email address. And if you scroll down a bit more, yeah, you can also mention like how, like the person can mention how the person actually found us. It gives us a little bit of insight where our community members are coming from, and then they can also automatically say that they manually select, but they are automatically basically being added to the newsletters they like. Previously, how we had it was like we had like 2 email addresses there, and it was a little bit more of an effort for anyone to manage the whole process. So yeah, down there, basically, it's just saying a little bit of what you can do as a community member. And the second point basically is the one where it brings you to the next step of the website. So if you click on submit your proposal, for example.
One comment I have on that, Julian, the questions we ask in the forum, I guess from a marketing point of view, how did you find us is important, but what we really want to know is what interests you about Divvy, or why are you joining Divvy?
That's a good point. Let me show you here. I have created a folder. I put it in the chat. Here in this folder, you can reach any of the navigation bar pages. And if you click on the relevant page, you can also like give a comment and things like that, so that we can always improve what is written there. But yeah, actually the form is not written there, so yeah, I will keep that in mind. I mean, do you want to, have this as an additional question there, or do you want the other one to be cut out? Because I think they can coexist, no?
Yeah, we could add a question.
Right.
Well, a simple question might just be, what is it that interests you about Divvy?
But yeah, and how to word that exactly.
That's maybe not the perfect wording, but the point is the person came to the website, they navigated around a bit, and then they decided, hey, I think I'll join, and we want to know why.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a really good point. I will edit it after the presentation.
We could say, what piques your interest about the Divvy?
Yeah, or it could even be what interests you about Divvy?
I guess that's keeping it simple.
Yeah. And they could say, well, the fact that I could do a project, or the fact that it's a really interesting network, or the fact that something else.
This is our customer. We want to know what we can do for him.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Okay, I will edit it right after the presentation.
Awesome. Go on.
Yeah, so this is basically this part. So if you click on submit your proposal.
Okay.
So here now, like, we put lots of work in this whole thing, basically, especially you, Kendall, right? Like, so basically, like in the beginning, like before this form, I made a reference to consider, but yeah, this form basically is the main thing. So it's like when you want to submit a proposal, you have an idea for a project, you can just follow this one form. So in the beginning of the form, there's actually the Divvy strategic goals document that you are again being reminded of to follow accordingly, and then especially the proposal guidelines, which in this document went like like this was what Candle was working a lot on. So like it looks now that it's like playing, like I didn't put it, like I had to decide like where to put it in the website and all that, and I decided that it probably would be best to put it like this, like I don't know if you necessarily want to have it like as an additional page or something. I figured that
I just love the way this is. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
instead of the email, I think it's the best to have the name of the channel where we discuss in.
Oh, that's true.
So we have to decide now about if we are going to use Slack or something else.
Yeah.
I think you know. I think that's a good point. You know, I mean, we want to know. You know, we would like to know a Slack name if possible.
Yeah, or the rocket thing.
Yeah, or the Rocket Chat. You know, maybe a pull-down menu of you know, scenario, art chain, Divvy, or Rocket Chat.
Will it be a scenario chat or will it be a Divvy chat?
Or art chain, or
Well, yeah, but I mean, those would be developers, right, Jim? That would be in our chain.
well, the thing is, you know, we get an email contact. We're going to find out who the person is.
Yeah.
Slack names would be nice, but it's too ambiguous at this point to, you know, it's a future enhancement.
Okay, but at this stage of the game, nobody can submit a proposal without having joined the Divvy community in Slack. So we could use the Slack
Oh, okay.
URL for them, right?
That's true.
But is it like that? Have we defined it in the proposal guidelines like this that you have to be a?
I think we have, you know, we have a non-exclusionary principle. I mean, this is, you know, so many people not in the Slack that are part of this scenario community project, but
this is for Divvy tokens, right? Okay, this proposal submission is for Divvy tokens, right? It says here, proposers understand that any Divvy tokens that are awarded to a project have no, you know, maybe we need to make it clearer, okay, that this particular proposal sheet is for Divvy tokens, and that in order to get Divvy tokens, you must be a member of the Divvy community.
well, you know, I would say okay to, you know, having a Slack representative, but to force someone to join Slack is, you know, slavery.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Slack is the at least at this time the default communication mechanism for the community. And if you're going to get Divvy tokens, I mean, look at it this way. From a legal standpoint, we represent the Divvy community, and we are in charge. We have a fiduciary responsibility to manage the tokens in a responsible manner.
Right, but you know, someone who's active in Slack like me, or someone who's not active in Slack like you, okay, you know, having them go through the step of setting up a Slack account, which he never reads, it shouldn't be a requirement to have a good project. You know, that's.
But this is about being in touch with this person, Jim. And all I'm saying is, I mean, you said, oh, well, your our chain address, your blah, 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 just whatever. They can give us any address they want. We can suggest that they use their Slack address. I mean, it's very logical because that's kind of our default primary communication space.
I'm just saying that the Slack address shouldn't be a required field.
Well, I don't know. Not sure whether I agree with that, but we'll have to go back and look. I mean, all of this stuff is tied into a process, and and the goal here is to have the most cohesive process possible.
Well, to understand our community, you have to understand that it involves a lot of people that will not use Slack, a lot of people that will not use Google, a lot of people that will not use Google or whatever. Okay.
Okay. So what we should say here is proposers name, and contact, email, or other preferred.
Yeah, you could. I mean, I would vote to make email a separate field in the form so that we can use that email list more easily.
Maybe we just say contact, proposer's name and contact information.
I would favor that. Although getting an email address, I think is important, and I think it should be a separate field.
Okay.
Anybody can set up an anonymous email for this purpose.
Okay.
So you still would make the email field then obligatory?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Well, then why not just leave it here?
Well, it's not in a separate field. We can't use it as data. We don't get a mailing list unless it's a separate field.
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay.
And is there a possibility for multiple choice?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, why don't we can improve it later, but I think for now, you make email separate and just have contact information. I think that works.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So, you want to move on?
Sure. Now, let's scroll down more than the form. Yeah, that's it. So scroll up again.
You mean in the form, or am I in the right place?
Yeah, my sound is breaking up, but click on projects. You did it good.
Click on projects,
The
right?
navigation bar. In the navigation. Yeah.
Yep.
So here's basically what we talked about in terms of giving an overview of the project. Now, I wasn't sure which projects of consider it we should put in or not put in, so I just put in the projects that were listed under we are working on it. Except for actually the video production cooperative, I figured I also put it in, but yeah, because there was kind of much consensus. So yeah, basically, if you go back,
So I mean,
This is awesome. And we have more to add. We have projects
Right.
all the projects listed in the new scenario governance project should be included.
okay, yeah,
yeah,
and
well,
like-
Jim, the idea here is this is Divvy projects, and I mean, we're hoping that we expand this button to you know, we end up with 500 projects, and someone coming to the website, a friend of theirs said, hey, you ought to go to Divvy and check out their projects. Go to the social governance project folder, and check out, there's 15 projects in there, and you can get involved in any one of them.
Right.
Okay, that's the purpose of this button.
Right.
So this is just obviously a rudimentary start. But I will just say this, the fact that this is now public and anybody can come into your project or any of these projects, think in terms of, it's all about upping your game, upping our game, upping my game, everybody upping their game, because now we really are open to public scrutiny on a minute by minute basis on our projects.
Awesome.
Right.
Great.
Yeah. What also is missing on that side still is basically very comprehensive summaries of each project. Like I would like to have for any project being listed there under the name, like a 1 or 2 sentences summary of the project.
And this is somewhat of an issue. We sort of want to have the same project description and consider it that we have in the website and we have in the purpose section of the project document. And coordinating those 3 things is an issue.
Well, and that's where the proposal template comes in, okay? Because, and I would recommend that, whoever is the proposer on any project that, projects we are doing in Considerate needs to go and fill out a proposal template, just so that we unify the project name and the project, the purpose, okay? And then that leads into what Killian wants to do, and that is to be able to post that right here on the website. And it could be the first sentence of the proposal, and then it says read more, and you click on that, and you get the whole thing.
Well, if there's a purpose collected in the proposal, okay, that gets put into a spreadsheet, which can be referenced in the document and updated by the owner to be the official purpose. And we can just have a purpose in one place.
So here's how, let's look at it from this standpoint. The projects coordinator or propose, I may need a proposal coordinator, a projects coordinator, but when going in and modifying the website, in other words, putting another project up in the projects the projects list, which some of them are getting Divvy tokens, some of them aren't. That's the sort of the catch-all for all projects that are being done on the Divvy platform, right?
In our database, okay, we have the fields that the person filled in when they proposed for the project. We have updated some of those fields, and we have statuses like the state of the proposal, okay, and maybe flags, or actually just the number, Divvy tokens received.
Okay, well, those are refinements. What I wanted to point out here, it goes back to consider it. This says, is this the name of your proposal in Divvy consider it? Okay, so the proposal name becomes the project name, and the proposal description, which says you should describe the specific Divvy strategic goals that your project will address. Okay, that's Divvy tokens, but the same thing applies, I think, to each project that we're putting up on the platform needs a proposal description that kind of lives from beginning to end. I don't know, maybe not to end, but because projects evolve, but it needs to be descriptive so that people coming to the website and looking at the various projects, they understand what the project's about, so they dig into it deeper. So that's all. And what I'm saying, Jim, is the proposals or the projects that we're doing now that haven't gone through this process, I would go back, if you would, and take this template and just fill in the proposal name, put some contact information in there, and give the proposal description. Okay, you don't have to fill out the vision if you don't want to, but I mean, these are all really handy things, because this document is kind of the, if we have someone who assumes the role of marketing, for instance, this is a marketing tool as well.
And I think this form can be kept current. I mean, what we have today, let me just show you. Is it okay if I show, Ken?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. This is the authoritative source right now of the purpose. And I really don't want anybody to see anything but how this reads today. So, our attention is getting to the point where we can the form has as much utility as the Google document, and is collaborative.
Well, this is, okay, so, I mean, this could be migrated into a form, into this form, right?
We could write some JavaScript to pull it out.
Well, whatever. I mean, again, we're getting back to the our public face. We're using our project's room or space, whatever. I mean, to my mind, it eventually lives in forum, Divvy forum. But people go there and they get excited and they join these projects, and that pushes everything forward. And we get the network effect from it, et cetera, et cetera. That's the purpose. So I just have to say this. I have to go in about 7 minutes. I will absolutely need to leave the meeting. Killian, do you want to just continue on with what you're doing? Is that all right, Jim?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah, you
you want
start sharing.
I'll screen share again and okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So back up to the navigation bar.
Right.
So we were at projects.
I
There's
think we got
projects.
that covered. Like I wasn't sure about open position, where, like, for example, if you scroll down and there's the video production cooperative, for example. So we have as team leaders Jim and myself, but none of us really commits or can commit much time to it right now. So from an outsider's perspective, this first looks like the role of a team leader is already given away to those people, but actually somebody would come along and shows commitment to take over, we would probably be that, I guess.
Yeah. I think what we need to do is in the pros and cons, we have to specify the current state. Okay, that the current con is it lacks leadership, and if we just put that as the top con, people will step up to the plate maybe.
Well, and people who come on the project. Okay, I got to take this.
You can probably move to the next topic before he comes back.
Yeah, I just disconnected, but yeah, what I just said was it's true what you said, but I thought maybe it's still good to have it on the website.
Absolutely.
Because you might lose people there already before they take a look at considering. Okay, so the next thing is basically the tool.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot he was controlling the screen. I may have lost your audio there. I lost your audio.
I don't know why right now Zoom quits. But yeah, the next item is basically the toolbox. I don't really wanna click on it now because I fear I'm dropping out again. But it's basically an aggregation of all the tools that we are offering anyone really to take a look and use for creating their project in a Divvy manner, kind of. Now Candle is back. If he wants, he can click on it. But otherwise,
What do you want me to click on?
maybe on Toolbox.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is basically connected to the folder that you created
Mhm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so if you look up here, Divvy platform tools, I mean, I created this folder so we can start. I mean, we can just drop in any of the tools that we think work good, right? I mean, like here's an example, and this is a to-do list, which is really cool because it's got this percentage up on top. So if I change the status to in progress, you can see that the percentage changed, right? So this is like a management tool for a team leader, for instance, and it makes it, you can prioritize anyhow. So those are the kinds of things that are here, and this is what we should have 1,000 items in here at some point.
Right.
With categories and subcategories and so on and so forth. Okay, so anyhow, enough said there. So let's see, where are we? I need to go back to.
Maybe you have to click back.
Yeah, I was on mute there. I was trying to say that when they click on Toolbox, they should see things like use of considerate, use of Slack.
Right.
Okay, they should see in there the project template.
Right.
They should see in there the timesheet template. Okay, so we need to get all our tools in there, all the tools we use.
I mean, this is I mean, it's now up on the website, I guess. We need to do a lot of work, and I intend to be doing a lot of work in the toolbox. Okay.
Thank you. And I'm hoping Jeff wrote one document on tips using Slack, I think, or something like that. And I think it's important, to promote our norms so we can cooperate better, is to teach each other the same tricks, so that we're following the same habits.
Well, yeah, all of that. I mean, the Divvy platform tools, I think, the sky is the limit in terms of how we evolve it and build it and so forth. But, I just figured we got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of put it out there, and Killian and I worked together, and, here's the result. So I'm just going to click on newsletter here. And
maybe like forum and newsletter, they are both not implemented yet. I still wanted to have it as navigation bar so you can take a look, but it's easily implementable. Then feedback is the form that I already had, and then like toolbox, if you one last time click on it and scroll down, you will see another form that I put there in order to like if anybody is searching for something but he couldn't find it in the toolbox, he can just submit what he's looking for, and we can.
I think that's a great idea.
This is so awesome.
Yeah.
I want to cry. This is beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to leave because I really have a problem with grown men crying. So I'm going to stop share. I do have to go, folks. I'm excited. I really think we're making great progress. So we'll see you all later. Thank you all.
The 4 o'clock meeting, except I doubt Killian will be awake.
Yeah, I may or may not be able to make that. Okay, guys.
Almost forgot you were here, HJ. Glad to be on board.
Oh, no,
Still,
yeah. We just assumed you'd taken a nap, HJ.
No, not yet, no.
Okay, guys, we'll see you later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going nicely.